Welcome to the Next Level You podcast. I am your host, Danielle Rocco, and with me today is an amazing man, the traveling like guru, Scott Witman. He is the travel video maker. Scott, how are you today?
I am well. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I am so glad you're like stateside with Wi-Fi and I can actually talk with you because well, first of all, tell everybody, how did you decide to be a travel video maker? Like, how do you do that? You just wake up?
So this idea had been evolving over a period of a decade. So my background is that I was a travel, like a reality TV producer in Hollywood for a long time. So I worked on shows like The Biggest Loser, your audience may know about losing weight, like that's in like 20 different countries. I worked on shows like Marriage Boot Camp on the WE channel, Housewives of Atlanta, stuff like that. Very, very highbrow television. So I learned a lot about how a story's made and how television works. And I had a job that on paper was, I made a lot of money. It was a respectable job. And I hated it.
Well, isn't that the majority of the world here? They have a job, it's great, and they're miserable.
Danielle, I think what's really funny about the phrase, like, money isn't everything, what's really funny to me about it is that it's totally true. It's totally true. Now, that being said, money's great. I love money. Nothing wrong with money. But, I feel that if you're not doing something meaningful with your life, you are wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Time is much, much more valuable than money. If you talk to like 30 billionaires who are, let's say they're about the age of 60, and you told them, would you make this trade? Would you give every cent of what you have? No savings, zero, to go back to age 40. You know what percentage of those people would go back to age 40 with $0? Probably all of them. Probably every single one. This poll has actually been done by a guy named Tim Ferriss that I admire, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek. He has actually done this poll, and they weren't billionaires. They were, I guess, like, many millionaires. And they all pretty much said they'd go back and give up all their money to do so. Now, that being said, obviously, again, we all need money, but time is much more valuable than money.
I agree with you because let me tell you, I lived so many years living out somebody else's dream and just doing it. And I was so unhappy. And now I've made this shift. And I started this new business. So am I making the same amount of money? No, I left. Nope. I left that behind, but I'm so much happier. Again, with that being said, sometimes I'm like, oh man, it would be nice, right? Like when you're finding the penny pinching, but I would still, I get to talk to someone like you. I met you, like it's worth so much more. Just even a friendship that we developed from like a random comment means way more than living every day in this in a miserable existence.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm regularly inspired by what you do, and I find myself surrounded by people like that at all times. Once I started adhering to the tenet that it's kind of a cliche at this point that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That means finances, that means physical appearance, that means level of health, that means any number of metrics. You had better take the people that you hang around with very, very seriously because your life literally depends on it. So if you have friends with drug habits, and like they're always broke and stuff like that, you probably don't want to be doing that. So that's something that I've tried to pay like very close attention to. But also more than those things, more than sort of a Machiavellian approach to propping yourself up with other people's awesomeness, is like just like the qualities that other people have in terms of, like what a good person they are. Like, what do they
Right.
bring to the world? Like, what is their viewpoint? Like, you want to be surrounded by people that you could trust at all
Mm-hmm.
times. And I think if you're surrounded by people that you trust inherently, your life will go well and you'll be healthy.
It is true. What did someone say to me once? Like, they're like, yeah, well, that part of them I don't really like. It's immoral, but this part is. And I'm like, well, then what does that say about you? Doesn't that mean that you're actually telling me that part of you is immoral
Right.
and you're okay with it because
Right.
the other half is all right? I'm like,
Right.
that sounds really sucky way to live, actually, when you think about it. But
Yeah. I, yeah. I'll give you a really quick example. I used to hang out with somebody that was funny. He was a cool guy, but something always irked me about him. And one time in Los Angeles, where I used to live, I moved into a really nice apartment compared to the apartment that I had before. Well, and probably by anyone's definition of a nice apartment. And when he saw it for the first time, he was like, "Oh, wow, this is half the size of a successful person's apartment." And I was like, "I'm never hanging out with this person again."
no.
I was just kind of like, you can't bash something that is clearly awesome. Like, you're just wanting me to not succeed, and it won't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, he's off the list. He's out of the 5. What is that with like Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory? I'm down to 4 friends.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to excise people from your life that have value in certain ways, that you have history with, but that's just not the way I roll. Like, if I feel that you're detrimental to my progress in an overwhelming way, like, you're gone. Like, you're
Yeah.
cut from the team. You're cut from the team.
I love it. I love it because that is how you're going to, I mean, you don't give up the life that you had to then slowly let stuff start seeping back in, because then guess what? You're going to end up in that same life that you had because it's what you've just known. And so you've allowed it back into creation. Okay, so I followed you in your journey through Peru. I don't even know how many journeys. I've lost track, but what I love is that, man, I'm like, I always joke about you, like, we need to do a reality show and take me and with my lipstick and stilettos, and I could take them off and get on the back of a motorcycle and live in a tent and, transform my life. I mean, I'm totally into that stuff. But how do you pick the places that you go? Because they look amazing. And no, I really want to do that one of these times. Like, we need to do like a 3-month thing. I think it would be, first of all, hilarious. And you'd open my eyes to the world.
Well, I'm not just saying that, but I would love to do a show with you, or we could do a test pilot or something like that. I think we'd be good together, and I've always wanted to have a female co-host. I've actually been working on that for a while, so maybe it'll happen. But the way that I ended up in Peru was that I had been studying ayahuasca, which is a medicinal brew that has been ingested by indigenous tribes of the Amazon jungle for 6,000 to 10,000 years. Nobody knows for sure how long. In the Amazon jungle, could be Colombia, could be Ecuador, could be Peru. Nobody knows exactly which part of the Amazon jungle the origins of ayahuasca are. But it was an entheogenic brew that was used to find answers to the universe, and it's psychedelic, and also for practical purposes of like medicinal qualities. So
Mm-hmm.
I had done a couple of ayahuasca ceremonies in Los Angeles, knowing that Peru was sort of the home of that. I chose to move to Peru to study the situation further and to expand my mind and my horizons. So I moved to Peru for a year, based in Cusco, Peru, at 11,200 feet, studying ayahuasca and another psychedelic medicine called San Pedro, or Wachuma, as the Quechua people call it.
Okay. And so I've heard so many like it's good, it's bad, it grows around a tree and it suffocates it, so you're going to put that energy in your body, right? Like I'm ignorant to it. I haven't studied it. I can just hear what what people are saying about it. So what made you, first of all, did you ever hear that it like kills the tree that it's around?
Well,
It, like,
vines
takes the life?
well, ayahuasca is a vine, right? So
Okay.
the ayahuasca brew is a combination of the ayahuasca vine and a shrub called chacruna, or Psychotria viridis, like is the Latin name for it. So yeah, vines inherently choke trees, but I mean, I don't know that the energy of a vine choking a tree means that it's going to choke you. I mean, I think it's an interesting theory. I've actually never heard that before, but it certainly does feel like that sometimes. Like that when you take it, you feel like that moment of Neo in the Matrix, and like it's sort of like that Mercury thing, like taking over your whole body, and then boom, down the rabbit hole. It definitely does. Yes, it feels like that. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe there is some truth to it. But in your,
what? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This is, again, I've never used it, so I'm not sure about it. But what was your experience now after? Are you a changed person?
Well, I was a completely changed person when I did it the first couple times and decided to sell everything I own and move to Cusco, Peru, in the freaking mountains. So, I mean, I was already a completely changed person. I mean, I had $170,000 a year job. I had health insurance. I had a nice apartment. I gave all those things up. And then I went through another change when I was posting travel videos on Facebook, and I got picked up to, I got paid to travel the world essentially and make travel videos about healers and shaman, whatever it was, at 1/1,000,000th the salary that I used to make. But nonetheless, I was paid to do what I love, and I signed a television contract with Edge TV because I posted some random freaking video on Facebook. It wasn't even a good video. So it's just like, if you stick to something long enough and you really believe in it, any number of universes can open. But going back to your original question, I kind of changed twice. I changed when I moved to Peru because I'd done ayahuasca, and I changed again when I started to believe in myself in terms of like, how can I have this new life? How can I monetize this new life? Because I'm not going back to working in an office. It just doesn't thrill me, and I'm not doing shit that doesn't thrill me. Like, I'm done with all that.
Right. And that right there. So what did you find out? Because I think you have the secret to the universe.
I think
how did you find out to keep doing it? Like,
well, I did. I figured out the secret of the universe, which is like, surround yourself with really super good people. Put good stuff in your body, like meditate every day and focus on your goals. Like visualize your goals and like what you really want, and not what like you think you want, like to be famous or to walk red carpets or things like that maybe I used to think about. But like, what does your day actually look like when you have everything you want? Maybe you'll discover you don't want that. But you have to really focus like on the details of where you'd like to be, your day-to-day activities. How much money do you feel you need in your accounts to feel comfortable? If it's $10 million, damn it, put that down on a piece of paper and make $10 million. A lot of stupid people make that much money. You can as well, but like the different facets of what is required to live a good and healthy life is obviously an individual thing. Write them down.
Do you write them down every day? Do they change every day for you? Or do they change every time you write?
They have changed and evolved, but they don't really change that much. So I have a habit that was developed from the guy who is I think his name's Scott Adams, like the author of the Dilbert comics. He's like a really brilliant, is it Scott? I think it's Scott Adams. But anyway, he wrote his goals down 10 times a day until they came true. And I do that almost every day.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I
I
like
write
that.
my goals 10 times every single day.
Yeah.
But I think that it may be more powerful to do it while you visualize what that goal is than to just do it by rote. But it seems to me that it could work either way.
Mm.
I just think it's fun. Like, I just do it as a practice. It's not necessarily like I know this will work. I just like doing it.
Well, it's kind of like putting it, I always talk about like keeping your goals, keeping what you want, how you want to feel and live in front of you all the time. So it's that same process, but dude, I feel like there is always something good about taking a pen and putting it to paper. I don't think it's necessarily better or worse than meditating and visualizing, but
Hmm.
there is something like defining when you
Hmm.
see it, when it goes from here to there, those
Well,
steps.
it's a synaptical pattern, right? Because, like, if you go to the grocery store, what do you do when you go to the grocery store? Well, you write a list of things to achieve, and then you go, like, procure those items. So, like, it's hardwired into us that when we do that process, those things get fulfilled. So when you do it with other things, those same synaptical patterns are being, like, blazed in your mind. And, like, I don't know, maybe that's the way the universe works. Like, so.
Oh, no, you know what? I never thought about it. It's part of our training. Like there's so many things they say, like undo your training from school or think, when you'll grow, but actually that's all skills. Like meditation is a skill you develop
For sure.
and manifest things into your life. So if you spend, like I'm 42, so if I've spent 42 years or close to it, whatever, thinking of something, writing it down and making it happen, like we should keep doing that. We have definitely, by 42, I think I should have mastered that skill because it's done, like you said, writing it down, going, how many times do we make lists and check them off and to
Yeah.
give yourself that accomplishment. So I don't think that's the only way. I think it's one of many ways to manifest, but I
Sure.
never thought about it till this conversation with you right now is that I have developed that skill for so many years and so many other people have. And then we don't do it for things that are like really important, like what we want in life.
That's a great way of putting it. I like that. Yeah, you can make it a ritual. You can do it. I do
Huh.
it with my morning coffee, which is bulletproof coffee. Like, I drink coffee with butter and coconut oil in it,
I saw you
and I,
explode that, by the way.
yeah, I have a really funny video that Danielle is referring to where I make bulletproof coffee in Cusco, Peru. And weird things happen when you make food and drinks in Cusco, Peru, because it's really high elevation.
So you're going to have to search him and find that. And then you can decide if you want to have coffee with him or not. I'm still on the, I don't know.
I
But
guess I can't blame. I guess I can't blame you for that.
but okay, now tell me about your meditation practice. Okay, because it has been like pulled at my soul. Like I've had such a pull to be like in nature. That's where I think I have been harassing you about doing a show with you because I
Hmm.
have been pulled so, I mean, like hard, Scott, to be in nature. And I was as a kid, but then I didn't do it for like forever. It's been
Hmm.
probably 10 years. And being like, you need to go in there and you need to meditate and some great things are happening. But I'm a baby at meditation, right? I've always, prayed and kind of gone into myself, and maybe that's a form of meditation, but people always like breath meditation and this kind and that kind. And it's so very overwhelming, all the different kinds.
Right.
So what is your take? How do you do it? What is
Right.
your practice?
Well, I'll answer that in two ways. The first way is that if I were to refer to the type of meditation that it seems like has a really high success rate, the bad news is that it costs money. And that would be transcendental meditation, where they give you some kind of mantra that's specific to you. Arnold Schwarzenegger even talks about how it completely changed his life 180, and he became a movie star after that. That probably would have happened anyway, given his level of determination. But anyway, there's a lot of people like him that talk about TM, transcendental meditation, in a way that is very convincing. I've never done it. The type of meditation I do is more akin to visualization, and I make sure a couple of key things are in place. I meditate probably 3 times a week, 4 times a week before I go to bed. I like to already be in a state where I'm sleepy. It's much easier to do if you're already really tired. That's also a bad thing in a way, because you can be disincentivized from meditating when you just want to go to bed. But so what I do is I sit down cross-legged with my back against the wall. That's very important for people who are listening that are 35 years or 40 years old or older, because a lot of people are disincentivized from meditation because their back hurts and they're trying to keep their back straight in the middle of a room. Don't make it hard on yourself. Put your back and align your spine against a wall. And, you know, so your back is against the wall, your hands are, you know, you can do them like the Buddha does, or put your hands wherever you want. But I suggest that counting down from 20 or 30 is absolutely essential. Count down, breathe very slowly and evenly until you're in like a mental space where you like start to feel that visualizing things is very easy for you. And like make it a point to have some kind of thing that you want to visualize when this occurs, something really pleasant. Like, you know, so many times in our life we visualize and we worry about things that like are crappy that could happen. Like F that, man. Like make time for yourself to visualize things that are beautiful. Like, how crazy good could your life be? Like, go the other way with it. There's way too much freaking worrying going on. So I use meditation as an anti-worry technique, if you will. Like that is my time to visualize how great things could be. Like, what if I had $20 million? Like, what if I had a boat? You know, what if I had traveled to all 198 countries, you know, or whatever it might be for that night. Like you got to think really, really big, because, you know, could you travel to every country in the world? You damn well could, like, if you made up your mind to do it, you know, and like what you can achieve is so much. I like Grant Cardone for stuff like this too. He's like the 10X guy. He writes these books called the 10X books. He's like, you are thinking too small. So I use meditation to dream and to dream big.
That's so good. And when you, like, I want to, like, when you are counting down and you're breathing, how do you clear your mind? Do you focus on your breath?
I think it's the counting that I focus on. So
the number.
I sort of like naturally let myself breathe in and out evenly. I've been doing it so long that I can do that easily. But the counting process is really, otherwise your monkey mind is just going to take you away from it. Like the counting is the only way most people can do it. So they just got to count, and don't choose a really high number or you'll be discouraged. Like, don't count from 50 to 1. Like, count from 30 to 1, and just tell yourself that with each breath you're relaxing like a little bit more, you're feeling a little bit more at ease, you know, and you will. Like, I guarantee you will. You'll try this like 10 times. On the 10th time, you will count from 30 to 1, and you will be in an extremely relaxed state, and in a very good state for thinking and dreaming and like visualizing fantastic things.
Oh, I'm going to do this, because it's funny you said counting, because that's kind of how I always start, by counting. It's my way of just, I think it's focusing on the numbers. Like, have nothing else. I've got, I have brain damage. I've got to focus on those numbers, or good golly, it could be up at 100 again. Who knows?
Sure.
But I usually do 20. 20 is my number.
20 is good.
That is my number. So what do you have? Where are you going next? Do you have an idea? Can you say even?
I do. I'm going to Vietnam next, and I'm going to be taking a motorcycle through the length and breadth of Vietnam, and possibly also Cambodia and Laos. I love Southeast Asia. I love the gratitude associated with a lot of cultures in Asia, in Southeast Asia. I just think they really nail the gratitude thing. And I love that, particularly Hindu culture, which I've explored in Bali and in Nepal. And the whole motorcycle scooter thing that I've grown to love. But I'm going to do some kind of travel show, and the particulars I'm not sure yet. I don't actually think I'm going to do the guru like healer shaman thing. I think I'm going to do a different theme. I mean, you and I can talk about some different themes, but I think I might like trail off into something else until I have a team, because the healer theme is a difficult one to do without a team. Like, you really need good equipment to interview people. It's already hard to interview people where there may be a language barrier and you need a translator. It's just it's complicated.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna like come back to the healer theme with another show and do a different kind of show coming up soon.
So what made you pick besides liking that area, were there choices and did you like kind of pros and cons them down and end up there? Or did you just wake up in one of those meditations and just be like, this is where I'm going?
I think I just have so much positive experience in Southeast Asia at this point, like living in Bali, traveling through Java, Thailand. I've been to a couple of different times and one of them for, a long stay, like 4 or 5 months. And I'm falling in love deeply with Southeast Asia, and Vietnam just seems like the next thing. The thing in particular about Vietnam that has really drawn me is some kind of like magnetic attraction to a place called Halong Bay, which is, if you guys who are listening have ever seen like those sort of dragon's teeth, like rock formations coming out of, beautiful aquamarine waters, and like the ships sailing through these rocks that are like, look like they're praying to the sky almost. That place just looks magnificent and godly, and I have to see it, period. The other thing is there's a logistical thing that works about Vietnam, which is that all the motorcycle paths and the roads have been pretty well mapped out. Like, there's not as much danger as there would be in maybe some other places with a motorcycle. So that's kind of a consideration too. I'm not necessarily one for motorcycling across India. That might be out of my comfort zone in terms of safety level. So.
And all you bring, and so tell everybody, what do you film all of these adventures on? Because you don't have a crew, it's you.
Yeah, I did all my videos about the healers and the shaman with an iPhone 6. And basically nothing else, like, a mic that attached to it that was like $200. I mean, not even a really great mic. I just kind of took what I had with me and used it, and it worked. I made some cool videos. I got paid to make them, but now it's time to kick things up a notch. And what I would do now in Vietnam, and actually what I will do, is it'll be 1 to 2 iPhone XSs. It'll probably be a DSLR camera. It'll be much better mics. It'll be a drone, and it'll be GoPros, which is still obviously not a very, very expensive studio, quote unquote. All that equipment's probably $5,000. But what you can do with $5,000 now in terms of travel will astound you. Like, the thing that will limit you is just the scope of your own talent level or ability to make a show. It's not that equipment that I just listed will not stop you from doing much. It'll enable you to do a lot.
Do you have a laptop? Or do you put all this together after? I feel like you were putting it together during it.
Good point. Yeah, I have a laptop and I cut things sometimes. I'm an editor also, and I cut things sometimes on Final Cut Pro, and sometimes I use an Avid Media Composer, which was my tool of choice in Hollywood when my career was in television. So yeah, I have a laptop to cut all the stuff. That's of paramount importance. I mean, I would like to get to the point where I'm not editing anything and I just like offload that to someone else, because I'd like to concentrate on hosting and producing and idea generation. And I'd like to pitch shows, actually, even while I'm making shows. I enjoy the pitching process. Yeah. So yeah, there's all that.
You're like my hero. I'm just like, if you guys can see me, I'm like, yeah, see why I love this guy? Like, he's just like, you're so good. So how do people find you? Like, how are we going to, I mean, I know how to find you, but how do they find you? And how are they going to find you on your new adventure?
So I'm Seek the Gurus, all one word on every social media platform, YouTube. You can watch my videos. So that's Seek as in like looking for something, SEEK, the Gurus, plural, all one word. If you put that into YouTube, you'll find me. My name's Scott Witman. Now, when I do this new theme, I may have a different name, a different YouTube channel, and that will be announced on my Instagram, which is Seek the Gurus and like all that stuff. So people will be aware of the tributaries that are about to happen. So that's kind of the deal with that, because the new theme will probably dictate that I can't really put it under the Seek the Gurus banner. But if anybody listening now is interested in seeing healers in Bali and hearing ayahuasca shaman in the jungle talk or something, you can go to my YouTube channel and like find that stuff.
Yeah, I've watched them all, I think. And sometimes I've watched more because I'm like, that was really cool. Like, I'm telling you guys, you got to watch it. But I kind of think like you're a little bit of a guru yourself, like, and you're becoming in all of these different facets of just like people in the world and culture. So I don't know if you should just throw it out, because it might pertain, even though whatever concept or series is a little different. I don't know.
I hear that. I mean, we can also talk about that more. I'm just still in development on what this Vietnam thing is going to be.
Yeah, I am very curious. I'm intrigued. I'm going to meditate on that. Okay. And I
like it. I like it.
I'm going to ask my spirit, what is Scott supposed to be doing there?
Hey, I would appreciate any help that you are willing to offer. But I like your idea to your audience of counting down from 20. This sounds ridiculous in a way, but like even to count down from 30 can be daunting to people sometimes. They're just like, I don't want to do it. Like 20 seems to be maybe a better number where you're like relaxed, but you don't have to feel like you're counting for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, 10 was not enough. And anything over 20 was too much for me, you know? And I think I have the majority of, people getting squirreled in their brain, of things. So I don't know. Well, we'll take a poll. I'll take a poll and then I will let you, I'll tell you what they come back with that. But it went fast. We have to sign off now. Everyone, check him out at Seek the Gurus. I am telling you, you will not be disappointed. He is a great guy. We've been friends for, I don't even know how long now, but you will love him. Then, you'll be like, yeah, he is my guru. I dig this guy. So thank you so much for sharing just who you are, what you do, and how you live your life. I absolutely adore you. Thank you.
I really appreciate you making the time, for me to do what I love to do, which is to generate ideas that help people. That's why I really started this whole thing, is to help people either through my ideas with healers or just to help them because they're like, oh, that's really cool that you can live in Peru for this amount of money and stuff like that. I just really love to help people through videos. And so thank you for helping me spread that kind of message.
You are so welcome. And I am sure I will be talking to you again here. And filling everybody else in on what you're doing. But till then, we will see you on the other side.
Bye, everyone.